Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to Backpacking with Banger. Thanks for all of your support lately, all the likes and subscribes. They've really been going up. Appreciate it. In this video here, this is a video that I've been meaning to film and put out there on YouTube for about 3 years now. And it's the story of how I first got introduced and influenced to the world of travel. As humbly and as modestly as I can say it, I live such a wonderful life ever since traveling the world, and I'm going to share with you guys in this video what sparked my fire to change my life and live the life that I'm living today. I'm currently living in my hometown, South Lake Tahoe. Got this beautiful view where I'm living out of my 20-foot travel trailer, and then I'm also traveling the world 6 months a year. So throughout this story, hopefully it helps influence and inspire you guys to get out there and live a life that's so wonderful out there, and a life that I'm living myself. So first off, I met a gentleman about 8 years ago. I was about 26 years old. I went to go play a round of golf with a couple buddies, and I met a gentleman by the name of Vince. And at that time, he was about 58 years old or so, and he teams up with us on the golf course, and he's telling us how he spends about 3 months a winter in Thailand, and telling us all these great stories about, the food is wonderful, the people are so nice, the women are great, it's so cheap, $6 massages, $20 night hotels, white sand beaches. So after meeting this guy on the golf course, who's now one of my best friends, he he really inspired me to go see the world. After the first summer meeting him, I was a little hesitant being an American. I was a little scared and nervous. There was a few reasons why I didn't really want to leave the country to go overseas. One of them was the language barrier. I was always afraid of not getting around knowing the language, which I quickly realized traveling around the world that English is the worldwide international language. So it hasn't been an issue in the past 5 years of me traveling around the world. And another reason I was scared of traveling was just basically getting lost, not knowing where I was, where I was going, transportation. There was a lot of factors into why I didn't travel. So my friend Vince, he goes to Thailand again that winter. I decided to stay in America another winter, and he comes back to golf with me again the next summer and just tells me all these wonderful stories again, how wonderful it is, how cheap it is, just how much fun he had for such an affordable price, and the people were so wonderful. So I finally pulled the trigger on the next winter. So I got a flight to Thailand. I was gonna stay there for 40 days and then come back to America. So I met my friend over there in Thailand, and after about 2 weeks, I was sitting on a white sand beach getting my first ever manicure and pedicure that my buddy bought me for my birthday. That was the first time I've ever done that. I'm not really the type of guy who goes and buys those things, but got a massage, mani, pedi, had some food, this and that. Everything cost like $20 for the whole thing. And where I was watching sunset on a white sand beach, and I knew from that moment that I wasn't going to be coming home to America, that I was just going to not show up for my flight. And I was thinking, well, if I can get $20 a night hotels, do this, do that, $2 meals, wonderful food, I was like, what's the point in going back to America? I had enough money in my bank account to be able to survive in Southeast Asia for the winter. So I rented a condo in Pattaya, where I met my friend in Thailand, and it was about $20 a night. I decided to leave my condo a couple weeks early. I was just ready to get out there and go backpacking and do something that I had never done before in my life. This is how much I knew about traveling when I first started. I actually brought my golf clubs with me to Thailand, and I would never do that anymore. Just traveling, you don't want to be have any golf clubs at all. But I was so new to everything. It was such an experience. So I shipped my golf clubs back to America, and I'll never forget when I closed the door to my condo in Pattaya when I left 2 weeks early, and just had one backpack and caught a flight to an island called Koh Samui, and from there I was staying in hostels. I never stayed in a hostel in my entire life. I was always kind of nervous of staying in hostels, sharing a room with other people, this and that. So I was introduced to hostels, which I actually love. I met the nicest people in the world. You learn so much from other travelers, other backpackers. It was so much fun getting to know people, where people have been, where to go, what to do. It was really, really fun and a great experience for sure. So I ended up spending an additional month in Thailand. So 2 months total in Thailand. I was bouncing around all the southern islands on Thailand. Went to the north side near Chiang Mai and Pai. Had a wonderful time in Thailand. And then my visa was about to expire. And I was talking to people in the hostel who have been traveling all over Southeast Asia. And I asked a couple people, hey, where's your favorite place? Where should I go to next? What country should I go to? And they were like, oh, Vietnam. Vietnam's great. You should go check out Vietnam. It's awesome. So next thing I know, I'm on a flight over to Vietnam for a month. And that was such a beautiful country. Next thing I know, I'm on a motorbike cruising around the country. Not the entire country, but I'd rent motorbike in certain areas, and the landscape and the food and the experience of Vietnam was absolutely mind-blowing. It was so beautiful. Had a great time there. And then my visa was starting to run out in Vietnam after a month. So I was asking people at the hostel, some friends that I met, where should I go to next? And everyone said, oh, Myanmar. Myanmar is awesome. One of my favorite countries I've ever been to. And they're showing me pictures of all the beautiful places and where they went. So I'd never even heard of Myanmar. Apparently it used to be called Burma. So next thing I know, I'm on a flight over to Myanmar. And I spent a month in Myanmar. Wonderful place, wonderful people. I had one of the best times in my life in Myanmar. I was trekking through the mountains, doing this, doing that. It was just such a wonderful country, and the people were so nice. It was just amazing. So after Myanmar, I had been out of the country for about 4 months, and I had to come back to America to start my job captaining a boat on Lake Tahoe that I've been doing for the past 10 years now. So I spend my summers here in Lake Tahoe captaining a boat for about five months or so. So I flew back to America, worked all summer. Then the next year I was a lot more prepared and experienced in what I was going to be doing the next year. So I heard a lot of good things about the Philippines, so I figured I'd start my trip over in the Philippines. So I flew to the Philippines in November. I was about 30 years old at the time. Fly to the Philippines, was planning on about 1 month in the Philippines. I loved it so much. The people were so cool. You got palm trees, white sand beaches, great people, great food, $6-7 massages. So I ended up extending another month in the Philippines, so 2 months total in the Philippines. And then I decided to go over to Laos, where I spent about 3 weeks there. Laos was pretty cool. It wasn't my favorite country in the world. I had just come from the Philippines, which is currently my favorite country in the entire world. But anyways, went to Laos. It was cool for 3 weeks, and then worked my way down south through Cambodia for a month, saw Angkor Wat, motorbiked around, saw the islands down south. I was still staying at hostels at the time, meeting great people, learning a lot. And then the whole COVID situation was kind of developing at the time, and I continued down south into Malaysia. A lot of the countries, they were sort of shutting down from the north to the south, so I was kind of one step ahead of the countries shutting down. So I spent about 3 weeks in Malaysia, which is a hidden little secret gem for traveling. Malaysia's awesome. And then I decided to fly instead of, at that point, the whole world was basically telling all their citizens to go back to their own countries, not to travel, go to your country. And in America, it didn't seem like it was going very well. So I decided to catch the last flight out of Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. It was the very last day that they had their airport open. So I flew from Malaysia to Bali, Indonesia, where I hunkered down for about 3.5 months in Bali. I had the whole island to myself. I had a swimming pool. My little bungalow was $8.75 a night. I had motorbike. Again, I was getting $7 massages. It was literally the most ideal place to be during COVID. There's nobody around. No other foreigners, hardly. A few here and there. But most people were gone. Everything was shut down. So I was able to get back to Tahoe to work again on the boat. And then the next winter came along, and Southeast Asia was still shut down. And so I went over to Mexico for 5 months. It was basically the only country that was open at the time. So I went down to Mexico, flew into Puerto Vallarta, and basically just went down all of Mexico. I saw about half the country. I was inland, I was near the coast, down the Yucatan Peninsula. At that point, I really wasn't staying at hostels much anymore. I was just getting private hotel rooms for anywhere from $12 to $25 a night. Mexico was awesome. I spent 5 months there, including my flight there and back, food, accommodation. I spent $6,700 in Mexico for 5 months. It was unbelievable. So, fly back to Tahoe, captain the boat. Next winter, I go to Central and South America because Southeast Asia was still shut down. So I decided it was a good opportunity for me to go see Central and South America. I started in Guatemala for 2 months, which is an amazing country. Guatemala is really cool. And then I flew over to Colombia for about 2 months, which is an awesome country as well. And then I went to Peru, saw Machu Picchu, and then flew over to Costa Rica for a couple days, and then took a bus into Nicaragua, where I spent my last 3 weeks in Nicaragua. And that whole trip was 5.5 months. I spent traveling. I was on about 8 different flights, and that whole trip cost me $9,700 for 5.5 months. It's amazing because a lot of my friends who I'll talk to, and they'll go on a vacation to like Hawaii, let's say for a couple weeks, and they'll spend the same amount of money in 2 weeks that I spend in 5.5 months, because I'm doing everything cheap. I'm finding the cheapest hotel in town. I'm finding cheap street food. I love it. I love doing everything by the cheap. It's actually more fun for me too, instead of staying at these fancy hotels and fancy this and that. I love the small cheap places. It just seems more relaxed and more enjoyable. There's less stress, and I don't know. For me, I just tend to like the hole in the wall places, the authenticity of it. So after that trip, I've been wanting to get back to the Philippines, so came back to work on the boat again like I always do, and then I decided to go check out New Zealand for 40 days. I rented a camper van with a lady friend that I met last summer, so it was a good opportunity to go travel the country of New Zealand, which was the most expensive country that I've traveled to. But I figured I had somebody to split the cost with, go see the country, that sign me up. Let's go check it out. New Zealand was really cool, unbelievable landscape, nice people, great trip. And then after that, it was about Christmas. This past year of 2022, I fly over to the Philippines, where I spent the last 5 months. I flew into Davao City on the south end of the Philippines, and then I bought a used motorbike, for about $1,100. It's basically in brand new condition, hardly any miles on it. And I just cruise up, all the way up. I was in, I don't know, 40, 50 different islands in the Philippines, if not more. I was doing island hopping trips, staying in $20 hotel rooms. And yeah, I just got back to America about 1 week ago. It was another great trip. So that's how everything got started. I just lit my fire, and I just started to travel. Once I was out there, my whole life and my whole world has changed. All my everything that I think is important has changed. This and that. I live a very simple life when I'm here in America, when I'm traveling. And it's just it's been an unbelievable experience, and I hope other people can try to do the same. Life has been unbelievable the past 5 years, ever since I pulled the trigger to go to Southeast Asia. I hope you guys all get a chance to get out there. Hopefully my story helps influence and inspire you guys to go and check it out, because it's definitely a place that's worth checking out. Life is just unbelievable over there. I love it so much. That's my story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next Backpacking with Banger Adventure. See you guys.